The CS2 market has lost over 150 million of its market cap today. Now this sounds massive, right? But let's put that into perspective. That's only 1.8% of the estimated 5 billion total skin economy in Counter-Strike. One bad day this update did. That's it. And looking at the market, prices have already recovered. Look at this chart. It started in 2025 and that was 7 months ago. We are way up overall, so this small dent in the market doesn't really matter. And this wasn't even a market crash. You need to think of it as more a restructure to the entire ecosystem of Counter-Strike's market. Whether you're a casual player, someone who trades skins for profit, investing in cases, or someone with a full-time skin flipping job, this affects you. Now, I'm sure you're aware of the entire new trading system, so I'm not going to bore you. Pretty much, you can just revert any trade in the last 7 days to prevent scamming. This means if you buy, for example, an AK Redline, you're going to have to wait 7 days for it to officially be yours. Equally so, you can't buy a case from a third-party market and unbox it. All of that has to be done through the Steam community market. Now, does this suck as a trader, a seller, and a buyer in Counter-Strike 2? Absolutely. But you need to understand this is the biggest update ever for preventing scam skins, and truthfully, for the average player, this is huge news. The amount of common scams will most likely decrease massively, but as a result, this market will have a big shift in where the liquidity is and demand is for the future, and that's what we're going to talk about. Let's talk about buyers. I personally would say the biggest change is you can no longer impulse buy anything without using the Steam community market. Anything bought from a third-party website like CS2 you cannot use for 7 days, which is massive when you think about how many people impulsively buy. We're talking cases, sticker capsules. The average Joe who plays Counter-Strike, dabbles in a sticker capsule there, $2 case. The demand for gambling in Counter-Strike is massive, and this demand has to go somewhere. So Valve have purposely made it so on the Steam market, you can instantly unbox, but on any third-party site, you cannot. Now, when you take this into consideration, not just gambling, but other stuff, we're talking name tags, stickers, applying and scraping them. Imagine you buy a skin with some, let's say, distasteful custom word on the skin, and you cannot scrape this skin for 7 days. That's crazy. Now, for someone like me who streams trade-ups every single day, if I buy any skin, you cannot trade it up for the next 7 days. So all events have to be planned 7 days in advance. Even the most recent 500,000 Oni arrow nade shot on Tim event, Megalodon sent the items 3 days before the actual event happened. Now, because the demand in the future will basically shift towards the Steam market for all of these items, I will basically assume that the cases will actually go up and the Steam versus cash price for these items will decrease. If you do not know what I'm speaking about, basically, it's commonly known Steam versus cash percentage is about 70%. So there's a 30% difference between the Steam price versus the cash price, which is why you get the cash price for cheaper. But if you're being punished for you have to wait 7 days to buy cases on CS Float, for example, I wonder if the price of the case on CS Float will be cheaper and the Steam price will be more expensive. So maybe that percentage goes from 30% difference to maybe 10% difference. Now, anyone who invests or collect anything, there's a big change. As any new item you buy or trade cannot be put into a storage unit, you're basically limited to 1,000 skins volume a week. Now let me paint the picture of why this is really bad. Imagine you want to invest in cases or stickers. You want to buy 10,000 cases. If you can only accept 1,000 cases per week, and then you have to put them in a storage unit, buy 1,000 cases again, and then wait another 7 days. In order to get 10,000 cases into your inventory, it will take you 10 weeks. That's 70 bloody days to achieve this. 2 months. And in the 70 days, imagine the prices change a decent amount if it's kind of trendy. And equally to this argument, once you've done with your investment and you want to cash out, if it's a small item and there's a large volume, you now need to sell 10,000 cases to an external site. But you might be going, but Flurry, just sell on Steam. And sure, there are methods you can cash out, but it's a hassle. So in the long run, because the buying and selling power is a lot slower, is the entire market perhaps just going to be a lot slower? Which, if you've been experiencing the market for the past couple of months, is very different. With every random item just randomly jumping in price. For example, take the AK Hydroponic in Factoring You. At the start of this year, 7 months ago, it was $1,800. It's now $4,800 cash. Now onto how sellers are affected. You would be surprised how many average Counter-Strike players' inventories, their large majority of their actual total net worth is the Counter-Strike inventory. The average CS player is what, 16 to 20 years old? For example, let's say Jimmy, who owns a butterfly Doppler at 17 whilst in school. He doesn't have a job and he most likely doesn't have any spare safety money. You know what is a good test? Comment right now what percentage is your inventory versus your bank account. Anyway, back to my point. This update has basically stopped the idea that CS2 skins are liquid. Even after trade hold, if you need money yesterday and you need to sell it, you officially have to wait 7 days to get your money, either from a cash trader or even an instant cash out site. You know, it's life, right? You have an emergency or you need to pay rent and you need money today. This is no longer a thing. You cannot get money today. Now, the whole purpose of cash trading and instant cash out sites is they can actually take a fee because of the service, right? Because you need money now, you don't care if you lose an extra 2%, you need money now, which is the whole purpose. And if this is the thing, it defeats the purpose. So there's two questions that we're going to be looking at and how these people and sites are going to adapt. If the people who need to sell will just use things like CS float, right? You sell it for 2% loss and then you cash out and then you withdraw for another 2%. You lose 4% and you wait 7 days. Or you go to a cash trader, which you still have to wait 7 days, but you then have to sell it for 90% buff, 88% buff. You just lose more with a cash trader. It doesn't make sense now. Now, it's only been 1 day since the update, but already on Twitter, these cash traders are adapting to this situation. They're saying they're going to be paying in 7 days after the trade is safe, but it begs a bunch of questions. What if the price goes up or down by a large amount? Are the sellers going to take a risk-free? The people who need money and giving the skins, are they just going to take risk-free refunds? You know, either they get a good price when the market's high, and if the price goes even more, they just cancel it. Are they paying you the price of the item today or the price of the item in 7 days? What fees are they going to charge if they're competing with sites like CS Float? Is this model as a trading method even profitable anymore? And I assume anyone in this area of Counter-Strike will 100% suffer with limited volume, you know, only 1,000 items, and a limited people who need to sell the items when there's better options. Now let's talk about trading, right? This, in my opinion, is becoming the most secure trading environment overall, which is amazing. And trust me, I'm the first person to say I hate change, but this will mean there's going to be a lot less bad actors on CS and more trust in the overall market that your skins are safe, which basically means will more people invest and put more money in knowing that the items are more secure and you won't get scammed. The big thing is traders, right? And especially the big traders are going to be largely affected. Think about how many big inventories that have, you know, they have the display buying, selling 200 knives, 300 knives, gloves in their name. Their total profit will be capped and limited because they benefit from including insane fees and percentages of profit by upgrading. And I want to be sure that I put that in speech marks. Upgrading, you know, 30 bad skins into one basically means you have to pay 7%, 15% profit margins. That's stupid, and now that's fixed because these big traders need to display as many knives as possible and accept new skins, and they can only have 1,000 at a time. So basically at a commercial level, trading is being affected. But for the average trader whose inventory is maybe, you know, 1k, 5k, 10k, this is going to be absolutely fine. Scammers. Now on this channel, we've had our fair share of scammers. You get the point, and as a CS content creator, the amount of DMs that I get on a daily basis of people asking for help, saying, you know, how did I get scammed? Can you help me get my items back? It's honestly sad. So this is a big change. You click on a dodgy link, a fake sign-in, an API scam, no worries, reverse it and your items are safe. If, you know, your friend scams you, you can even lend skins now to a friend. Let's say you don't trade, you can lend skins and then refund in 6 days, and that makes sure, boom, you're safe. As long as the scammer doesn't have full access to your Steam account and your mobile authenticator, you're absolutely fine. So the amount of generic, just noob scams will increase by like 90%. And I can only see that the most successful scam is going to be human manipulation, working for the straight 7 days, you know, keep talking to them. But even then, if you pretend to be a cash trader, why would you sell to a person trying to buy it for cash, which takes 7 days, when a site like CS Float or even our sponsor CS Money will also take 7 days now? It completely defeats the purpose of a cash trader. The only reason you would want a cash trader is no KYC. But if you don't have anything to hide, using KYC on a site like CS Float, there's no real downside. Now, when we look at marketplaces, they're all going to need to introduce a system in a place to sort this out. So the biggest Western market, CS Float, has already made a stance, and they've updated their system where both parties now receive their money after the trade is complete in 7 days. So like before, the entire market is going to be slower, right? If you don't receive the cash in 7 days, you can't instantly buy something else, but also you can't sell something. Everything's going to be a lot slower. And the CS Float also made a statement claiming reversing any trade offer as a buyer or seller will lead to a permanent ban on CS Float. Now this sounds strict, and it is, but this is very, very good. It basically fully discourages any user to reverse a trade for a little bit of profit here and only use user to the worst case scenario of getting scammed. Imagine the chaos of any site that chooses to allow the opposite of what CS Flow are doing. You have sellers cancelling their trade on the 6th day just because their skin went up by $50, or a buyer cancels because the skin's going down in price and they say fuck that skin. This prevention is honestly for the best, because you know we're humans, right? If you see the market going up, you're gonna want the money. Now I do not recommend this, but Valve have basically allowed players who don't really trade a lot, or you could just create a new account and send the skin there. You legit have the option as a 7-day risk-free long position on any skin. You could just buy an expensive butterfly emerald. If the price goes up 3k, keep the skin, resell it. If butterfly emerald goes down, fuck it bro, just refund the trade and just send it to another account, or just use a different site and try this method. That's pretty crazy. Now across the pond from here in the Chinese market, they're actually doing something a little bit different. According to the Twitter user Feng Yuanxi1, I hope I didn't butcher that pronunciation, he's giving updates on the Chinese CS market, where he claims these sites are actually creating whitelists for good traders so they can receive the money instantly. I guess that's one benefit of social credit, trading sites. So this is an actually interesting one, right? The bots holding all the skins will never refund the trade, so you have a guarantee that even if the items go up, you can keep the sale. Now we are sponsored by CS Money, so shout out them, but it's important, I would recommend just to not trade for the next 7 days. These marketplaces, these trading sites, they're all going to change their policy, their ways of trading, so it's important to see what happens. And potentially guys, you could treat these trading sites as a risk-free investment, right? On a risky item. CS Float has made the decision to ban anyone who reverses it. Will these trading sites do the exact same thing? Who knows? You should probably wait and see. Gambling. Now, I'm the first person to say this, guys, do not gamble, but these gambling sites benefit a lot from impulsive decisions, right? You're either drunk or, you know, it's late at night and you just want to gamble. The fact that you can no longer deposit skins and then get the balance instantly is insane, right? Now, this isn't even a dig at gambling sites, right? I'm just talking about gambling as a concept. You can't deposit skins and get the money the same day. You can't sell on the Steam market because then you have to wait 1 to 3 days for your balance to clear. You can't buy cases on CS Float because now you have to wait 7 days to unbox them. Now, does this stop gambling? No, because if you really want to go on a gambling site, you can just deposit with actual hard cash. The same way, if you really want to open a case, you have to deposit cash onto your Steam wallet and then buy a case. It's the same concept really, but they've basically stopped impulsive decisions to a certain extent, and that's amazing. Now, this might be a very niche part of it, but people haven't really talked about it. You can no longer mix game trade. Games like TF2 or Rust are very famously known to be used as liquids for trading, right? You can just constantly trade, or sell on the market. For example, you know, the TF2 key, the Manco supply crate key, you could instantly sell. It would give you the Steam wallet balance. Whereas if you bought a CS2 item, you'd have to wait 7 days and then sell it, and then maybe you'd get the 3-day hold on the balance. Terrible. So now you can't trade CS2 items for other game items, because then you could do the trade, then send the TF2 keys again on another trade, and then refund the CS2 items originally. It just wouldn't make sense. So you can't do this anymore. Now, in conclusion, you know, just to wrap it up, I think majority of this market and the panic, respectfully, are new CS2 players. If you're an experienced trader, you know, back in the day in CSGO, we've had so many scenarios where people were like, CSGO is over. It's always happened. You know, the gambling bans, the 7-day trade hold, the market literally crashes, and yet we've always recovered. So this little crash right now is nothing compared to what we had back in the day. And honestly, guys, I think this update is amazing. Does it affect people? Absolutely, you know, but I will happily prepare my trade ups on stream 7 days in advance if it means I can go to bed knowing whatever happens to my account, I can wake up, boom, reverse a trade. It makes me want to put more money into Steam, and it makes it feel a lot safer. The liquidity of items has 100% and will slow down, right? You cannot mass buy, you cannot mass sell, you cannot mass move, and this basically means I don't think we're going to see just crazy market changes anymore, and things are going to be a lot more normal, which is great. And overall, this update doesn't just protect players, it restructures the entire CS2 skin economy. And truthfully, it's a huge shift away from, you know, freedom, speed, but more towards, you know, safety and ultimately Valve control, and that's what they want. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it and let me know your thoughts.